Welcome to Feeling Called. I am Gina Torres.
And I'm Lauren Tatro, and this is the podcast where we explore what it means to feel called and follow your life's purpose. And today we're going to jump right in on a continuation of our last episode's theme around astrology and how it impacts us in our day to day. That angle and discussion really focused on how history kind of repeats itself and what the stars were telling us about those specific transits. But today we're actually going to dig in on Mercury retrograde, which I feel like
Retro.
more people know about this than, like, even if you don't follow astrology, you've probably heard about Mercury retrograde. And it actually starts in a few days. So we're in the pre-shadow. We're going to talk about
Ooh,
the pre-pre.
the
The pre.
pre-shadow.
Mm-hmm.
We are also in our pre-shadow period.
This is for the ladies.
I don't even know if we have any men listening to our podcast.
No,
but
actually, I
if we
looked at our
do,
stats. It's like 99% women. And the other one's probably my husband.
Yeah. Or Jerry. Jerry definitely supports too.
That's true. Shout out, Jerry.
We got to give it up to Jerry.
Yes. And, there is a benefit for men to listen because they will learn some insights into what us women go through and like how to best support us through those themes, because sometimes we don't even know what we need. And pre-shadow, pre-period, pre-shadow,
Yep.
pre-Mercury.
If you guys don't really understand, we have a bunch of different phases that we're going through. And what is the pre-shadow? What is that? Do you know, is that the luteal phase? Is that what it's called?
Oh, you're going to get all like technical. I call it the psychosis phase.
See, that's the issue. I don't even know the phases of
I know
our
as
shit.
soon
Like,
as
we
I
were
enter
never.
it, though.
Yes. Well, and that's also going back into like intuition, right? Like
Yeah.
we don't have to know the technical term of things, but when we feel it, we're so in tune with our body. We're like, okay, nope, there's a pre-period page. Here's what I'm gonna be feeling,
Yep.
Get me some
Yep.
chocolate and don't talk to me, throw some meat
Don't
in
talk to
and
me. Good talk.
and that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
But when
And
we
it feels like a storm front. Like for me, it feels like
yeah.
a storm front moving in. And to your point, in that moment, I have to really learn how to like not start beating myself up around the fact that I felt like I hit a groove. Like I'll feel like I hit a groove and creativity is strong. I'm feeling very connected. And then that shifts. And I sometimes feel disappointed. I'm not going to lie. No, it's a little
Yeah.
depressy, espressy.
It definitely is a depressy, and I feel, like, exhausted too. Like, there's this phase
Yes.
beforehand where it's, like, just complete exhaustion, and that's what I'm
Mhm.
kind of so we're entering into right now.
Let's talk a little bit about how the Mercury retrograde shadow appears. And first, for anybody that doesn't know what Mercury retrograde is, it is actually something that gets a very bad rap, I think. And it's a planetary alignment where when you look at the sky, it appears as though Mercury is moving backwards, even though it's not. It's just kind of how it looks.
You see it in
And
the sky?
yeah, you can. Well,
Where?
if you have like a
Oh,
astronomer's microscope, but when they
a
study,
telescope?
I mean, telescope.
We got 2. We need a microscope on the
Man,
telescope.
so no, we have 2 of us in pre-period and pre-shadow Mercury retrograde, and of course our communication is going to
table.
be impacted. That's what's at the table. So
That
like,
is another
all right,
thing. We're exhausted. The communication is, like, non-existent. My brain feels like scrambled eggs.
ooh, I love
And,
eggs.
me too. Pasture
Yeah,
raised, though.
eggs are good. But Mercury rules communication and technology, travel. And these are like themes, right? Thought processes. So that clarity can start to feel like it's dissipating. And there's a lot of narratives out there to not book any travel during Mercury retrograde or not sign any contracts. And I think what happens when we look at that collectively is you have a bunch of people that start believing that that's true. Now we're almost triggering law of attraction where we're fixated so much on this stuff going wrong in the next month that it actually does. And I think that the flip side of this and how to kind of move it towards that place of empowerment is really to understand that this is aligning with the season that we're in right now. And it forces us to slow down. It forces us to, we cannot be on all year. And when these seasons come in and these phases come in where we're forced to slow down and look at the details, like we might have to do a little bit more fine tooth combing over a contract or the way that our travel plans are booked or how we're approaching tough communication or conversations with our loved ones, because there already might be just kind of that baseline of stickiness in the air from some of these astrological themes.
So we might have a little bit more hiccups, but that's
We in
something
this.
that we take into consideration. We have a roadmap as to how it's going to affect us as humans, how it's going to affect our psyche, emotions, physical body, all those things. And so, just like going into a season, you can prepare for that. And so, I
Yep.
think there's a lot of the fear kind of that goes around, or like the oh my god, around Mercury retrograde, and oh, this is my reason why I'm acting A, B, and C. But for you to give a reason to act that sort of way, like, it's not the reason. It's affecting you, but it's not
Hmm.
like the reason why you get permission to act a certain way. With
Amen.
the information, you get to take that and you get to utilize it. And so if Mercury retrograde is giving you fine-tooth comb things, well then use that detail to your advantage, or use the things that it's giving you in order to create or finish X, Y, and Z.
I think a lot of people blame their shit on astrology. And,
Yeah.
it's not the full moon's fault that you were acting like a psycho. Like maybe you're in your pre-period, you know what I'm saying? But to your point, I think it's important that we look to these things as tools for awareness. And typically, as well, during this time of Mercury retrograde, which starts November 9th, I believe. So we're right in that pre shadow and goes through November 29th. And then there's that post shadow, which, see,
I know.
which it's bad. My
Again,
mouth is
we're
like,
not saying that there's no credit to any of this stuff. We're just saying that don't use it as an excuse to be an asshole, because
don't
there
be
will
an
definitely
asshole.
be emotions that
Mhm,
are associated with all the planets all the time. But like,
mhm.
don't use it to be like giving yourself an excuse. Does the full moon
Yeah,
affect your emotions? Hell freaking yes. I believe the
yeah,
moon is feminine energy. So of
that's
course we're
right.
gonna have a lot of emotions. The
Mhm.
moon is a
That
female.
is right. The moon is a female. So as we look at the potentials, right, within this time frame, I think that part of this and we start to sit with these themes year end anyway, right? What's coming to completion? And if there's things that are like unfinished business that maybe you avoided and didn't want to deal with, they will always come back around. And this is a
Hmm.
time frame where those situations, conversations, relationships, human resources, these are the things that these are I got to keep you on your toes. These are the things that come back for us to initiate reflection and determine what action we need to take in order to create completion around it. Because if we go into the next chapter with all these loose ends that we haven't tied up, then that really nickels and dimes our bandwidth to be able to cultivate what we're trying to bring in next. So if there's unfinished business, it's going to be coming for your ass during retrograde.
Yep.
That I can betcha.
Yeah. And so when we think of even like going into the female menstrual cycle, when we're talking about the pre shadow phase for even that, what is that bringing up for us that we actually have to release? And our
Mhm.
bodies physically release a lot of things. So if you're not a visual person like me, like even just thinking of like it's emptying out in a way
Oh, I'm
that like
thinking about it.
it's
I am visual. That shit's getting hairy.
if you think about this pre-phase, and all the things that come up, like for us, we're exhausted right now. We're emotional. Our brains are kind of like just not computing. And that is part of what we have to go through in order to shed a lot of the stuff that is going to come
Mhm.
out in our physical body. I mean, we're all connected. And when you're in tune with your body, you can start to feel those things. We don't need to look at a calendar to know when the pre-period phase
It's
is. We're
true.
just like, "Okay, yep, it's here. So we gonna
It's
record
here.
today, or do you wanna just
Hello.
fuck off?" So I'm in
Well,
the in between right now.
the in between, because I think the hard part is we have to define what it means to still show up, what it means to
Right.
still show up for ourselves and for each other. And we can get accustomed to a particular pace or a level of excellence that when you're in some of those other phases, that clarity is just inherently there. That might be a week where you feel really socially connected, having conversations is super easy. You're attracting exciting things, and other times where it's like, wait, if it's not that, it's not good enough. And I think that's where we get ourselves stuck into some of those comparison narratives.
Absolutely.
I
And I
know I
mean,
have.
if yeah, and for our females out there, understanding what emotions come up for you during that time. Like I know I feel really bloated. You don't fit, your clothes don't fit right, the emotional aspects of it. And those can be things that hey, again, we know that this is going to happen. It happens every month to May. I know exactly what's going to happen. So maybe you get yourself some really cozy, comfy sweat outfits for that week so that you feel nurtured and you feel comfortable and you don't have to put on jeans and you don't have to and same thing if you're in the business world or you have to dress like business, bleh, business casual.
I know it makes me want to gag too.
There are so many stretchy options out there. So, like, even thinking about some of those things that you can do, just because if you know that this is coming, there are ways to prepare for it in a way that feels good to you. And so
Yeah.
instead of now going into that with oh my God, I'm getting my periods. Okay, you have a different perspective. And it's all about shifting the perspective of being like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, this week I'm going to be cozy. I got my cozy clothes. So figure out what that is for you.
Some of the eye-opening stuff about this is that it's also gonna show you what you're a part of that doesn't support your ability to make that choice and to have freedom around that, and just kind of connecting it back to some, corporate environmental things, particularly and depending on your role, if you are required to show up a certain way every day and always be on those days where you can't, you have to kind of like put in a box, like bypass what your body is telling
Yeah.
you. I remember I had a conversation once with a colleague who, and again, it depends on like, we didn't talk too deeply about this topic, but she had mentioned that, she's somebody that has it's very painful. She needs to take time off. And how
Oh,
do you communicate that to your boss
yeah.
without them feeling like you're making up excuses? And in some cases, if a male counterpart was to experience that pain, it would be disabling. It would be probably considered a disability, but
Yeah.
we're just kind of expected to move through it. And so I think like now, even reflecting back in comparison to when I was in those positions, now I can frame out my week being comfortable, choosing what
Yep.
to decline, choosing what to say yes to. It's not a perfect science, but I think it's a privilege and a blessing to be able to create our own schedules, our own freedoms around that. And that's something that I'm very grateful for.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that point too, if you are someone who is leadership or that you're in meetings and things like that. And you can potentially make your schedule to where you maybe don't have certain meetings for that week or set yourself up for maybe some of the more easier meetings for you during that time because you'll
Yep.
find that that really helps. I mean, we certainly do our damnedest to try not to have any front facing roles with clients during this week. I mean, sometimes it happens and we have to do what we do, but we prepare for that and we have our
Yeah.
comfy clothes while going over there while also looking professional and being professional. But we're able to kind of know that this is coming and make our week according to how our bodies are going to be and feel. And Lauren and I, again, we're human first, whole human first. So whatever that looks like for you, I would
Sure are.
really encourage you to I would really encourage you to just kind of figure out what that means for you because we're never taught this in school, we're never taught this in the workplace that we should even be prioritizing these weeks in a way that works for our bodies and that works for when we're most on. Like, you think about when you're
Mhm.
most on, like, that's probably my 3rd week of the month usually. Like,
It's Goldilocks
I'm
zone.
a week out. Yeah, it's Goldilocks zone. Like, you want me to
Yeah.
get shit done, that's the week. The
That's it. Beep,
Goldilocks
bop,
zone
boom.
is like, I'm getting and that's literally what happened last like, we sent out
Yeah.
all our proposals. We're like, "Okay, here we go." And now this week is kind of the, "Okay." We know what's
Mhm.
coming, and we're preparing for some of those meetings. We might not take a lot this week. We're in the planning phase, we're in the preparation phase, and then next week, we'll
Mhm.
be going back into
Yep.
our normal schedule. And, of course,
Yep.
Lauren and I are synced up because, that's just
Naturally, which has
synced
its
up,
ups and
boo.
downs.
Yeah, we
But,
kinda
yeah, I
just
think
don't
that
talk to each other for that
you're like,
that, uh, that first day.
or like, "No, maybe a phone call is better," you know? And it's funny because when it first shows up for me, now I have more space to reflect on what I'm really feeling, and my stress levels are managed. So when something shows up that feels out of whack, it's very obvious to me now versus where I was
Mhm.
operating from extreme levels of stress and burnout all the time. I didn't know what was what. And so when this starts to kinda come in for me, I notice a sharpness to me, like, my patience is low. It shows up with the kids
Yeah, it
first,
is.
right? Well, mirror, mirror, and I so with my kids is where it shows up first. My tolerance is much lower.
Yeah. Yep.
And so in
Same.
that, it's not me saying like this is my green light to be reactive and snippy with everybody. There's also grace involved in even midway through, I'll be like, okay, I'm not in a good space right now. I'm not trying to, point that gun at you. And sometimes it's just knowing, and this comes back to the communication theme with Mercury retrograde. Sometimes we have to really like stop something in its tracks and create new intention around how you really wanted it to go versus the reality of how it's going. I mean, we make
Mhm.
mistakes. We're human. Everybody's going through so much stuff. And I think at the same time, and I think the larger relationship landscape, because I think this is where this comes into play for a lot of people, particularly this time of year as we start to head into holidays, and maybe there's more exposure to triggers, honestly, around
Yeah.
family or, engagement levels, and tolerance, I think kind of comes into play, where now I have to sit with and think, okay, where do I need to revisit a boundary, but do so in a way that potentially has like this radical honesty, but also compassion, right? For that
Yeah.
human experience part. And that takes a lot of practice. It really does.
Oh, yeah, tolerance is low, and
Low.
I feel like I get very short because I'm not in the, "Haha, let me, make this a fun text or a fun call." I'm just like, "Okay, what's going on? Okay."
Hmm.
But it's more, um, like, factual
It
in
can be
this phase
transactional. Yeah. Hmm.
rather than, like, the glitz and glam of, like, kind of
Yes.
being fully on.
Yep.
But
Hmm.
that's something that I notice that I get into where it's kind of like a quick text and just being like, "What are the facts of this conversation?" As
Right.
opposed to, but then on the other end, if you have friends that are used to you texting or being a certain way and you don't disclose those things to them, like, are they gonna
Exactly.
think you're mad? Are they gonna think that,
Hmm.
they did something wrong? And then you begin to spiral other people. So
Hmm.
going back to the communication of everything and what retrograde, pre-shadow, all these things have in common is to be honest with yourself, to
Hmm.
understand what your body is telling you, and also to communicate with people your needs, your boundaries, and the things that might be coming up for you at this time. And if people
Hmm.
don't understand it, then that's on them. You've done your due diligence
Yes.
to tell people, family, friends, colleagues, whatever it is, that this is what you need. Here's the support that you need. Here's what I'm experiencing. And if they are supportive, then that's one conversation. And then if not, you
Yeah.
have boundaries because you know how you're going to react.
Exactly. And I think a really strong boundary, and I saw this the other day,
Mhm.
it said, I'm not currently or actively managing other people's feelings.
Yeah.
And that really stood out to me because I think as, heart-centered individuals that really are relationship based, that care about, what other people are going through or the impact of our approach, what that saying does for me is it really forces me to go back into the personal accountability for how I'm showing up and what I'm delivering in terms of how I'm communicating and where is it maybe coming across in a way that I didn't intend. And
Hmm.
if you can, clean up your side of the street with that stuff and somebody's still having some type of reaction or response, at the end of the day, you're not responsible for the way in which they're processing whatever's coming up for them. Now, certainly we can be here for each other. And this is where the communication, always comes back to. If that's communicated to me, like, hey, this is what that brought up for me, And we've had those things before too. It's never in the light of like, you caused this to me.
Right.
It's, wow, this brought something up from the past. And this is how some of this stuff can show up in the loose ends, right? The themes that maybe they've popped up before, we kind of pushed them down, or we didn't have safe relationships to explore these themes. So it was, there was never a place to actively work through it in a way that felt like there was resolve.
Yeah, and I think a couple episodes ago, we talked about that period for when you do leave maybe a corporate or you do leave a job, and the space in between from when you leave to what's next for you. I mean, you're literally recreating that person because you're going from someone else's company standard or what we've been taught our entire lives of what we had to do, what we could do, PTO, what bullshit that is. Let me give you 5 days a year that you can take off. What? What?
Benny's.
No.
You said,
No.
what?
What?
Mr. Bean.
No. Like, what? And then with our both of our examples, yeah, we're gonna give you unlimited sick time, but the
Mhm.
catcher here is that you can't ever use
You
it. All
can't get
right,
sick, okay?
come on. If I could spin all the way in my chair right now, I would
I'd pay to see it.
tell
I'd pay to
you.
see it. And to your point, I think that space in between, and this is kind of, there she
Oh, I
goes
stopped.
all the way
Now
around.
you can
As long
now you
as
can
it's
see
not
the
just
back
your
of my
head,
hair.
as long as it's not just your head going all the way around, then we got a problem.
Yeah, no,
That's it.
that can't
There
happen because
she is.
the way that my mobility
No.
works is to undo
Well,
that.
yeah, that would be like real next level psycho, though. That's
I
like
mean, some people can do it. Did you watch
poltergeist.
America's Got Talent this year? They had like a guy that was turning his head around like that,
I
and
don't
his
know
like
if I could.
back
I don't
and
know if I can handle that. I would have like sympathy pains.
body was basically like Jello. So
It's weird.
I
I'll have to
know,
look it up though,
but
because I'm kind of curious now. I feel like the kids would like to
I'll
see
send it
that.
to you.
Like, this is what's possible in the human experience.
I mean,
Oh,
it's similar to the people who can do splits. I'm like, if I even tried that,
that's
I'd break
fair.
every bone in my pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Guts would be on the floor. We're done
I
here.
was
We're done.
doing somatic what do they call it? Butterflies or whatever
Mm,
earlier today. I'm like, yo, how the fuck do people do splits? I just wonder. Like, there are some people who are
yeah.
chair to chair, like
They're not storing any
bottomless.
trauma down in their root chakra.
I
You know what I'm
guess
saying?
not, man. Listen, I got a lot. I was over here like,
Working
damn. Damn.
Damn, Gina.
You're like, damn. And meanwhile, I'm watching homie over here, chair to chair, ass all at the bottom. No,
Wow.
nothing underneath.
Bless their
Just
hearts.
chairs on
They've been
on both
working
legs.
at it every day. Every
I'm
day they're
like,
hustling.
what?
Mhm.
My
I know
hip
it's
flexor's
wild.
broken
It's wild.
watching that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry. Anyway, back
no,
to
no,
Mercury
that's good. We
retrograde.
digress. We digress. But we had a call earlier that really got me thinking about just that phase in time when you're leaving an environment and that in between. It also is an opportunity for all the parts of you that you felt you had to keep kind of hidden. Or like, the parts of your personality that really are quirky and unhinged that didn't have a place to go in your day to day. And I
Yeah,
remember, right?
imagine
But
getting pulled over by me. Let me see your license right there.
right? And having a board meeting
What?
like, am I right? Yeah, that would be a no-go.
See, for you got a busted headlight and
You got-
it's a full moon, so I'm gonna have
So
to take you down to the station.
work on
Like
your feminine.
feminine energy is
Oh my
well,
gosh.
hey,
No, but it's funny because even thinking about like brand development is a great example. So when I first went out on my own, I kind of carried with me some of that corporate energy of like brand presence and very serious, right? And,
mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you decide your brand is, but it didn't necessarily reflect the whack job that I am. And I remember when I met you, and I'm like, we're started going in this other direction of like, no, there needs to be humor in our brand because like we're
Yeah.
funny bitches and it's core to who we are. And so somebody had said to me, and they worked with me prior versus now seeing me where I'm at now, how much they are happy to see me in like my natural element, like who I really am. And
Yeah.
I don't think we shine enough light on how exhausting it is to need to contain parts of ourselves in order to feel like socially accepted within a structure or a system. And I didn't really realize how much that was at play and how much conditioning was involved. Like it didn't at first, I'm like, is this even like acceptable? Can I even like, but I'm like,
Yeah.
Gina's always reminding we make the rules here. Like,
I
you know
know.
what? And if if people don't like it, then that's just not your people. That's not your audience, right? So instead of like chasing an audience, just be who you are, and then you'll attract who's down for that wild ride. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Even the other day, I'm like, "Is it okay if I go for a walk while we're on the Zoom call?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk too."
Let's fucking go. Fucking ain't right, doggy. Yeah. And
No.
we're like, wait, we're the bosses.
I know. We're like, and because we have another team member, and we're like,
Mhm. And she was
what do
like,
we what
hell
do we
yeah, I'll go
say?
too.
I know. We're like, what do we say? We want to go for a walk because we're like, wait,
Wait.
we can,
Wait,
and
whose
we don't have
rules
to
are
answer
we
to anybody.
playing by? I think there's a
What?
lot of unwritten rules. There's societal norms that really come into play. And this can really run the gamut depending on not only your background, but the system that you're in, the environment that you're in, and where this social norming comes into play around feeling like you have to show up. And this is what masking is. Like this is when
Yep.
people refer to taking your mask off. I remember when I worked for Time Warner Cable way back in the day and we were looking at like consumer profiles, and the component that I'd first learned was called alternate lifestyle, and that was essentially the real you. This was like the
Mm.
here was like the portrait of like you're this age bracket, you work this kind of job, these things are important to you. And then there's this other part of you that rides like Harleys and is kind of a badass and likes loud music. And there's no way like those things felt so far away. It became, are we target marketing the mask, like the persona over here, or the real you? And
Mm.
I think that that's where marketing and brand in general really needs to take a hard look at understanding that instead of chasing a specific type of person, really flipping that switch back to like, okay, what are we in the business to do? And that's going to attract what it attracts.
Are you
So I
telling
thought
me
that
that
was
you like
interesting.
Harleys and loud
My
music?
husband does. Yeah.
Do you
He
ride the
gets right
back
out
of his
there.
motorcycle?
I have, yes, but he has since sold that motorcycle. And I think we're going to get another one. And by the way, I was fucking
Mm.
terrified.
Yeah,
Terrified. I'm not
yeah,
often one like, I doubled down on prayer. We went to SPAC to see a show and rode down the Northway on the back of a bike
fuck.
that was not equipped for my big booty jutes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm on the back like, "Whoa."
I kudos for
I feel like I'm in
that.
a music video, but it was, like, pitch black out, and I was terrified like a deer was gonna come on the street. It
Oh
was
my
bad.
god.
I was freaking out.
Oh yeah,
So
no,
that's
that's
not
what
my
happened to my
alternate
dad.
lifestyle, you know? Like,
My dad
eh?
actually hit a deer and broke his whole
Really?
collarbone and stuff. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. I always wondered though how people could just be outside of a car
Right.
and they have other cars around you and
Yeah.
everybody is because you're looking at the
Raw doggy
motorcycle
doggy.
per
Mhm,
yeah, like you're looking.
mhm.
I always look at the
I felt
motorcycle and
so exposed.
I
Like,
yeah, and I kind of
oh.
judge them, you know, a little bit because a lot like some of them they'll
And I
have some
kind of
cool.
judged them, you know?
No, but, you'll have some that like this guy, the one day I was watching him and I'm, like, fascinated by his outfit on this motorcycle and that he's just, like, out here.
Mhm,
Like, I commend him for it, but I'm just
mhm.
like maybe judge was harsh. I don't judge them, but I'm
I
like, I
get it.
really introspectively look at them. And
Yeah.
I don't even know if introspectfully is a word, but it is
It
today.
is now. We love a good hybrid. We just blend all the best words together.
But,
Yeah,
you got people who are riding and, like, their shirts
they're
are
legit.
flying and their cracks are out.
Oh, there's a whole
And
lot going on. There's usually
and
a
I'm
theme
like,
song that's blasting that
yeah, and
yeah.
some of them have stereos that are, like, blasting. I'm
Yes.
like, "Sir,
S
you need to turn off ASAP Rocky. Your ass crack is out right now. Like, we can't
Mhm.
be blasting." I don't know if ASAP would, like, approve of this message,
Mm-mm. And I would not approve of that
you
message.
know? So, I don't
No,
know.
I'm with you. So this
He needs to
this,
get the
like
LimeWire Bill
oh my
Clinton.
gosh.
I'm Bill Clinton and I approve of this message. Did you ever have LimeWire?
Oh, you know it.
Alright, alright.
And was there was
I re
Napster? Did you have
oh, bro.
Napster?
Oh, yeah, I remember I downloaded what I thought was a whole album, and it was just 60 songs of fucking Bill Clinton saying, "I did not have sexual relations
Oh.
with that woman."
That's so disappointing.
Yep, waited like
Because
3
it would take,
hours.
like, 3 hours to get to download
Waited
a track.
3 hours
I
for
was
that
straight on,
shit.
like, my campus at school just ripping illegal music, just
Oh, well, I was ripping Bill
'cause,
Clinton,
I mean,
so
that would be quite a surprise when you think you're about to rock out.
yeah. Well, and
Playing
that's the
it.
thing, I had the little, nano too, so you couldn't even see what song was next. Couldn't
Oh.
even these kids don't know how
They
good
don't
they get.
know. They don't know, but I
Got
mean,
it.
created a mean mixtape in my day.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy times.
Mhm.
Crazy times, man.
It sure was.
These
So,
kids don't
yeah,
know how good they got it.
they
They
don't.
really don't.
They don't.
They really
Yep, and we're
don't.
just
I
resilient.
would
This is
love
why we're gritty, because we
I
had to
would love to
struggle through.
exactly. I'd love to hand someone my little iPad Nano and say, "You know what? Find the song you wanna listen to.
Mhm.
There ain't no
Bill
screen.
Clinton.
You gotta click through until you find it."
That's it.
And I
Yep.
usually only had about 50 songs on it.
Mhm.
So you're
Old
just
Bill
50
Clinton.
songs on repeat. Oh,
That's it.
I'm telling you, oh, I was so pissed. I mean, I couldn't be
Yeah.
mad because I was
What
obviously
can you do?
pirating freaking illegal music, but, like, at the same time,
Details. Yep.
any who's or
So
whatsers.
so he's a whaties. So this is where, like, you think about that guy on the bike, right? And let's say he's that by night, and by day he's like an accountant or something,
Yeah,
and
ass
like
crack by day,
ju
accountant by night.
accountant by night. And that's not to
Mhm.
say that there's not parts of your personality and your gifts and your talent that are wired for that profession. It just means, are you able to show up for the majority of time we spend in our life in full-time work, whatever the definition of that is for you. If you're in a standard 9 to 5, it's a significant amount of your life is spent in an environment where you actually maybe on some level can't be who you are.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then it's like you just think you're gonna kinda wait until retirement to do all the things that you wanna do, and then you're like, "Wait, well, who am I?" After all of that conditioning, who am I in this? And that's a very real thing that can create extreme exhaustion.
Yeah, and just to go in on that conditioning point too, I remember when I was in the academy and just how much I didn't I guess I never had an experience like that, and when I was in the academy and how much they really condition you to they break you down and build you back up into who they want you to be,
Yeah.
and I had never really realized how impactful that whole process really is and how much it really affects the psyche of the police officers that are going into their job. Like, your whole time you're doing one thing and then you go through this whole entire academy and you're basically like walking across the stage and you're like this new person. You're not the same person that you went going in.
Mm,
You're
mhm.
a completely different person. Then you get on the road and then you're like, all right, well, basically all the shit I learned in the academy goes out the freaking window because now you're dealing with real people instead of just like these mock situations
Scenarios, right.
with people who are also in this system and
Yeah.
have something for themselves to prove. Like I think of some of the drill instructors that I had, and it's like they smoked me because they had something personal going on in their life that they were like, I'm
Yes.
reflecting this over on you.
Mhm.
And so you see that, right? As in if I was in this
Yes.
space and I saw that, I would think that that's something that's right, and I would go on the road and I'd be like, okay, well, I didn't wasn't doing anything wrong. This person was, on a power trip. Now I'm that person, and I get to go and I get to power trip the next person.
Yep.
When you think about that cycle and those sorts of things, I mean, I know law enforcement is way different than the corporate structure as far as
You'd be
like
surprised.
physical. Yeah, it's definitely related in the hazing but I
Mhm.
feel like since law enforcement has such a, like that heightened title, it's even worse, and it
There's
really does
definitely the
create.
power tripping is some people really get off on that. Like, they're like, maybe
Yeah.
they don't feel in control anywhere else in their life, and this is the place where they get to control, right? And then, like, the
Oh, yeah.
corporate comparison, it's the definition of shit rolls
Mhm.
downhill. You have the top line levels of abuse that are taking place, and they are emotional, psychological, power related, survival related. And now, years and years and years after potentially just weathering that storm, whether or not you spoke truth to power or, had an opportunity to set a boundary or felt comfortable doing so because you were afraid you were going to lose your job. Now, that same conditioning years and years and years later, this is where you see this like robotic system of creating leaders that are imprinted by that dysfunction, and they're assholes. Their leadership
Yep.
style is like, well, this is just how I learned how to do it. And so now they're wringing that out on the next level. And usually that's the level that's actually getting the work done. Right. And you
Yep.
perpetuate that out far enough. That is the definition of culture. It's not all these other like fancy, frilly PTO that you could never use. It is really about the day-to-day experience and how you treat each other, and that's what the reputation is that your employees are talking about outside of the organization, undoubtedly.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And, it's tough because as you develop discernment over the years, there's parts of that you can carry forth in a positive way, your ability to see things through as long as they're the things that you really wanna do, and that grit and determination and fortitude can help kind of pull along in those weeks or those months where you don't feel like doing things, but there's
Yeah.
still things that we have to get done. And, I think that's a big part, like to kind of bring it back to the seasonal approach to even work, the monthly approach, all the cycle syncing, right? If we look at
Yeah.
that cycle compared to now retrograde cycle, now we have seasonal living that's coming into play. Fall is the season, and that's what we're experiencing right now in upstate New York. Fall is the season where, nature teaches us about letting go. And that's
Mhm.
part of the process. That's part of going underground. And so, how can we bring some of that inward? How can we reflect more? Mercury retrograde adds another layer that we can get even more fine tuned on what are the specific things that I'm avoiding. Where do I need to look back at the details? And where have I not
Mhm.
been honest with myself and others? And this time is a very potent time to clean up those loose ends so that they don't carry forth with you into the next season.
Yeah. And I love fall for that, and I think I mentioned last episode some things that I do for letting go, and I feel like it's exciting to move through the seasons in a way once you understand that they're coming and kinda how you wanna navigate them, but creating your own traditions, even if you don't have something culturally that you're connected to or familial that you're connected to. I had to make all my own, and you'll kind of understand what those are and find those pieces, but have something, something that you do that you can look forward to, that you can do the introspection, that you can do just the pulling apart to really discover who you are
Mhm.
at your core, because it's really cool when you take off all of the masks and all of the things that society has made you, and you really find out at the core what you're here for, what your purpose is, and just what you really enjoy doing.
It's
Really
huge.
enjoy doing. I mean, if you
Mhm.
want to hop on a Harley, I mean, that's
Do
hey, if
you,
you like
boo?
riding down the highway with your
Riding
ass
dirty.
crack out, that's just listen to
Do you,
ASAP
boo?
Rocky. Go for it.
Who are we to stop ya? I think even, like, heading into winter, I know that I'm somebody that we've talked about this too, that struggles with seasonal depression, or we're kind of far removed from our life force, which is the sun, right? So our cycles and everything kind of going inward. These rituals and infusion of intention can also give us things to look forward to, right? So if we're generating, ideas and rituals around the moon cycles, for example, that moon cycle is consistently happening the same way.
Mhm.
It's something you can count on. If themes are coming up in between, you can now kind of reflect on, oh, I'm going to be ready to let that go in a couple of weeks. I can feel it starting to kind of mount and show up as something that I want to pay attention to. And so now this can give us more of a day-to-day purpose of reflection and going inward than just thinking, oh my God, like 2 more months of this, and I'm never
Yeah,
going to go outside. And like that voice is strong. So we have to counterbalance it with stuff that brings us that opportunity for joy.
and it's long too. I mean, 7 months of
It's
winter ain't
long.
no joke. Long and strong, baby. Long and strong. Long and strong.
long, long and strong. 7 months. That
Long and
got
strong, baby.
expanded. That's the Gina
Yeah,
math.
yeah, yeah. I mean, coming
That's
back
what it
from
feels
Florida,
like. That
certainly is.
that's true.
Certainly is 7 months for me.
That's true. It's summer
But
and then winter. That's
yep.
the seasons that we're
Yeah.
working
That's
with.
it. That's it. That's
So
it.
I think, to kind of round us out as we look to astrology to create connection points for themes in our present and our past, and really where we're going and what's coming up. The common thread is to take accountability for what you're doing in terms of your part, your free will, how you're infusing some of these larger themes into an opportunity for you to grow and to contribute to relationships in a way that reflect your growth. And that requires communicating, even potentially reintroducing who you are and what your boundaries are. But that feels so good after the first time you do it. I remember when I went through that, I was like, wow, like there's no turning back now. And the people, like you mentioned on the last episode, that are going to fall away are going to fall away. But it's certainly
Mhm.
not because there was some, you know, awful ending. It's sometimes just misalignment. And that's just part of it.
Yeah. So kudos to you if you're losing people. It's the way to go.
Yeah. Yep. It's part of the
And surrounding
process.
yourself with the people who you wanna be like, who you know, envision a similar life of, or just the people who support you in a way
Mhm.
that's for your highest and greater good, so
Yep. So that's that.
kudos.
That's what we're focused on. Carry it forth, be well, and prosper.
Yeah, and guys, don't forget to like and subscribe the video. If you see someone or know of someone who this might benefit, definitely share it with them, and don't forget to follow us on socials as well at Feeling Called, and we will see you guys real soon.